So yeah, hello guys, you are most welcome to this training. So these are the tools in which we are using. So this is the long ruler, while this is the French cuff, this is the French cuff, this is the French cuff, the scissors. So those are the tools in which you need for the cutting of a trouser. This is a long cuff, this is a long cuff. Then the chalk, you also need your chalk, and then your tape rule. So now let's proceed. So now the first thing you have to do is to first lay your material. Like this. Make sure you lay it very well. Make sure that everything is well laid like this. There's no rumple anywhere, and make sure that this edge is also right. Make sure this edge is also right, and this edge as well. Make sure it's right and straight like this. So if it is not straight, just roll it straight and then trim it out. Then the next thing you have to do now is to cross-check our measurement. So this is the measurement in which you are using for the course of this training. The length is 35. So that's the length of the trouser. The waist is 29, while the thigh is 21. The bottom now, which is the hem of the trouser, is 6.5, while the circumference is 13. If you divide it into 2, you have 6.5. Depend on how you write it or how you measure it on the person. So now the hip is 34. Hip is 34. The nail is 15.5. That's the nail. From a bottom line now, or from hem line to the nail now, is a 15 inches. Is a 15 inches. So that is all about the measurement. So now let's proceed to cutting properly. To drafting rather. So first thing we have to do is to draft the trouser pattern. So this pattern I'm to use, it's very easy, in which you can use it for any measurements you want. It's not that this pattern is a constant. This process that I'm using is constant. I will give you the process, the procedure, the formula in which you can use to calculate for any measurements in which you are using, whether when you want to get the crotches, or when you want to get the hip line, or when you want to get the thigh, or when you want to get the center of the trouser. So everything is perfectly laid down. So please just relax, sit back, be on a cool place, and then enjoy the training. So now let's move on. So just make sure after this line has been straight, cut straight. So the next thing you have to do is to measure 1 inch here. Measure 1 inch. Measure 1 inch and roll it straight. Roll it straight like that. So the next thing to do is to apply our length. The length is 35. The length is 35. Apply the length, which is 35. Measure 35 here. Take your hand to front again a bit and measure 35 also. So now just roll it straight. Roll 35. So now the next thing to do now is to measure 2 inches for the down folding. For the down folding, measure 2 inches. Then you roll it straight. Sometimes I use 1.5. Sometimes I use 2 inches, depending on how wide you want the hem folding to be. So now the next thing to do is to get our crotches. So now the formula to get the crotches now for any measurement, for any waist in which you are using, is this. So some people use hip, while some people use a waist. I normally use a waist to get my crotches length, to get the crotches line. So now for the crotches now, hope you can see that. For crotches now, what is our waist? The waist is what? Is 29. So you waist, this is the formula. Waist divided by 4 plus 1 or 1.5 or 2 inches. So this is the reason why. The reason is because not everybody like a fitted clothes. Assuming you are sewing for an elderly man of my size, of this waist of 29, that elderly person may not want his clothes to be very fitted. So that is why you need to apply 1 inch or 1.5 or 2 inches depending on individual differences. So just know that whoever you are making clothes for determine what you should use here. Either you use 1 inch, either you use 1.5 or you use 2 inches. So assuming it's someone that wants a very free clothes, just use 2 inches. But if it is an average man which wants a little bit fitted but not too tight, whatever you divide it, just add 1.5 to it. But if it is a child, if it is a teenage, you can use you can add 1 inch to it. So now, what is our waistline? Weight is 29 divided by 4, giving us what? Giving us 7.2. So this one now I'm adding 1.5. So 7.2 plus 1.5 giving me 8.7. So this is my crotch line now. Even if you are sewing for a waist of 30, don't forget our crotch line for this one is 8.7. But assuming you are sewing for someone with a waist 40 now, 30 now, someone with a waist 40 now, waist 30 now, or 32, let's say 32. So you just divide the 32 by 4. That will give you what? That will give you 8. So that 8 is either you add 1 to it if you want it to be a little bit fitted, very fitted, but I don't advise you use a 1 inch for an adult of a waist 32, but rather the least you should use for an adult is a 1.5 or you use a 2 inches. So depending on how that person wants it. So now for the waist of a 32 now, I will use a 1.5 for this. So 1.5 plus 8 giving me 9.5. So assuming it's a waist 32 now, I can use 9.5 for the crotches. Hope you understand that clearly. So this that I'm using is not a constant thing. It's a method in which you can apply for any measurements at all, any measurements in which you are sewing for. Please, I'm trying to explain various measurements here now so that you will understand on how to calculate for whoever you are making a trouser for. So now let's proceed. Don't forget what we calculated before was 8.7. So that is for our crotches line. So that's 8.7. Just measure 8.7. Yeah, 8.7. Some people also use a hip. Some people use hip, but I use a waist to get my crotches line. So this is a waistline. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. So this is just the tip of the iceberg in my upcoming training. I have an upcoming training on how to make a ready-made look-alike a trouser. So this training is just a 2 days online training. So these are the things you are to gain in the training. You'll be able to draft a perfect fitting trouser, be able to take an accurate measurement which you can use for any type of trouser at all, and I'll give you formula in which you can use to cut any type of any type of trouser you are making. After this training, you'll be able to sew a very neat inner trouser which will look like a ready-made trouser. So and at the end of the training, you'll also be able to make a nice draft a very nice trouser which at the end of the day the gator will fall in a trouser after you iron it. So these are many more is coming up on the training. For you to be part of this training, all you need to do is just to check the box below, check the box in the BIO below. The procedure on how to join the training is split out there, and I advise you to take the advantage of this discount before it expire. I give you a 50% discount before it expire. So thank you for watching. and remain blessed. See you guys in class. Bye.